when I was thinking about bringing you on or bringing somebody on, I think every emerging franchisor that's listening to this, that's at that, they're going to be at that period of time, if they're not already, where they do need to bring in that C-level person. What I'd love to get your insight on, what were some of your concerns? We knew, being that you and I knew each other, it was a super easy pick for me, decision for me to bring you on, because we already had that rapport. You already had that relationship with franchisees and you were proven success. So I knew that culturally you were going to be a great fit. But what I am wondering is, what were some of your concerns coming into a leadership position with a hands-on founder like myself? Because I was breathing, eating, drinking, sleeping on sports.
For sure. I think, to be honest, my biggest concern at the time, knowing my background had been corporate America. I mean, my last large corporate role was being head of sales and marketing for a billion-dollar company. And so the thought of coming to something that was more entrepreneurial, nimble, was very attractive to me. And because you and I had worked together, I had already a comfort level with you. But then dialing down to, okay, how is this going to work for me coming into a small company that at that point, what was it, Frank, maybe 10 people total? I don't remember what the total employee base was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was probably no more than 10.
So 10 people, and you, the founder, this is your baby. And so what went through my head was, I know Frank and I align on mission and values. I know I align with this business, but how will Frank feel in letting go of the reins? Is he going to have a hard time letting me grab hold and make some changes, and be part and an active participant in lifting the business to where we both believe it could go? So that was really my big question: is, will Frank let go of some of the reins?
I think that every founder is going to go through that, right? On deciding that they have to give up the reins. If they really love the company, they need to hire for their weakness. They need to bring on somebody that's going to complement them. And you have to do the right thing for your business. And sometimes you're not, you, the founder, are not, you're definitely not the end all be all. You need to be able to open it up and get new voices, get people with different experience.
Can I spin this back to you though?
Yeah,
I'm interested to know, as the founder entrepreneur, what was your fear? What was your biggest concern bringing someone into this small organization, knowing that you were probably going to have to let go of things?
Wow. I think that's a great question. I think maybe it wasn't a fear. Maybe my concern back then was, how am I going to work alongside somebody where, yes, I might be able to make the final decision, but am I going to be able to work with anybody side by side and be able to make decision, to make change or introduce new things? Because I wanted to continue to innovate. I wanted to continue to grow as I had, sort of a vision for the company. So I think no matter who it wasn't you in particular, but it would have been anybody where I thought, is somebody the person I bring on, are they going to fight me at all on any of these things that I want to do? I think that's probably normal for anybody, right? That you have to question that.
I would, absolutely. I think that's got to be one of the biggest challenges for any entrepreneur, is saying, hey, I'm going to invite someone in and give them some control over this, at minimum, that's somewhat of a partner figure in this,
Sure.
A partner in thought, a partner in strategy. And what if we agree on the big things, but there will be that little thing, like not putting the top on the toothpaste in a marriage, that drives someone crazy, right?
Exactly.
It's those kinds of things that you don't know. And I'll have to say, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but you and I were very fortunate in that I can't think of a time where we had a major disagreement over anything. Sure, I'm sure there were times where you might have been biting your lip and saying, I might have done that differently. But strategically, I think we were in lockstep.
I agree with you 100%. 20 years, we did not disagree on one major strategy of anything that we wanted to do. Of course, one of the big advantages of our relationship is that our styles, they complemented each other, yet they were different at times. And that allowed us to be able to bring out the best in both of us. Nobody ever saw it as, I'm going to go to Brian for one thing or go to Frank for something else. They knew that they were going to get the same answer. And also, I think we made it really clear from the onset of you coming on that you were the COO and president, that your role was day to day. And I remember that handing over sort of the authority of who everyone was going to report to you was, I thought, really, really important early on, that you had the freedom to build a relationship with them, right? I think if I remember correctly, I sort of kept the reins of technology, since that was sort of my baby and that was sort of my strength. But you really, I mean, when it came to finance, you and I worked together with our finance department with Kim. But when it came to like operationally or marketing, franchise sales, really day to day, everybody was reporting to you.
But I'll give you a lot of credit, and this would be very good for the listeners to hear too, because as an entrepreneur, as a founder, bringing someone in is a big step.
Mm-hmm.
But how you set them up for success is also very important once they come on board. It would have been very easy for you to have given me responsibility in name and yet continue to facilitate one-off conversations on those issues because you felt for whatever reason you might be in a better position to handle those issues. But that can completely undermine the person that you put into that leadership position. And I give you incredible props for telling people. I remember seeing the emails saying, hey, please talk to Brian on this, or Brian is your resource for this kind of issue or question. And that allowed me to continue to work through those things and grow and learn. And if I wasn't sure about something, I'd come to you and I'd say, Frank, how would you handle this? How have you handled this in the past so that I don't set a dangerous precedent? But you set me up for success by saying, I've brought you in, I'm giving you these people to manage these, this is where we're drawing the lines, and we were able to manage through that. So I do think that's a really important point for anybody that's entertaining bringing someone into their business in a major role.
Sure. And thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. It was a great experience, and you did make my life easier, not only in office, but you took so much burden off of me that I always tell you, that you helped give me back my family life, which I really desperately needed. My kids were, 10 and 7 at the time when you came on full time as CEO and president. And I definitely had some years where, though I came home every night, there was a lot of hours that I put in. So I missed some things along the way. And you helped me give me back my family life and allowed us the time to travel and just spend time as a family. And I can't thank you enough for that. But, let me ask you this. What would you say are some of the symptoms that should clue in a founder that it's time for them to bring in that C-level outside help? I want to hear from your perspective as that person that came in.
That's a good one. A couple things come to mind. I think the first obvious one is exhaustion. I mean, there's a point where a founder, entrepreneur who's launched a business is going to get to a point where they go, I cannot sustain this. I'm giving it my all. There are not enough hours in the day, and I just can't continue this at this level. So that's one. The second is, as a founder, you've obviously got passion in what this entity can become. But there's also recognition at some point that to get from where you are to where you want to be is going to require something you don't have. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have the smarts or the skill set. It could just be you don't have the bandwidth, or it could be I just don't. That's a side of me that isn't comfortable. I can stretch to it, but I can't sustain it.
Right.
And so that's a big telltale sign. And then the third is just again, there's a certain point in a business where you call it a flywheel or a tipping point where the pace needed to get to the next level is again beyond the existing team's ability to get there. So you got to call in, phone a friend, call in help. You got to get the help.
Yeah, the founder. It's not that we can't do everything we need to do because of the skill necessarily. Like some of the things that I did, it wasn't my wheelhouse, right? So I just didn't have the bandwidth to do everything. So if it was getting in the weeds, let's say operationally, yeah, I could do it. I ran the leagues myself, but it was not my strength to do those things. So yes, I could do it. I got in the weeds, did all the details, but it'd be much better to have somebody else that can do that. And that's their strength.
Isn't it true, Frank, that as a founder, you have to be a generalist. You
Yeah.
actually find yourself having to spin your hat. Okay, today I'm finance, tomorrow I'm ops, I'm
Oh,
doing sales. I mean, because you did franchise sales for years.
I did.
And so, yeah, you become very comfortable being a generalist, which is a good thing because that's what gets the business off the ground. But it's also a major inhibitor to get to the next level. And in a book that you and I both love a lot, the E Myth, Michael Gerber talks about working on the business versus in the business. And as an entrepreneur generalist, you're often tethered to the details of being in the business. And when you recognize that's holding you back, you got to elevate yourself.
And there's another aspect to this that I want to bring up, and that is the other advantage of a founder bringing in that C-level help is that as your business grows, it does become more lonely. And you start isolating yourself because you can't share with the entire team. Let's be honest, you can't share with the entire team what is going on in your head because there are some decisions that you may want to make that's going to affect people's lives or affect their jobs, or you maybe bring somebody in above them, or you need to move them out. You just can't tell everybody everything. And as the business grows, I found myself becoming a little more isolated. And then when you came in, it was like suddenly it opened things up because now I get somebody with a different perspective, a new perspective, somebody from the outside, but yet you knew the company. And now you and I could bounce ideas off of each other. You're bringing up things that I didn't even imagine, and vice versa. We can just share our experience. And suddenly I thought we made decisions faster, believe it or not, together, and they were more thorough.
And I think too, Frank, most entrepreneurs are going to surround themselves with people that they like because as a small startup business, let's face it, most of the time, unless you've got a deep set of pockets, you're not able to pay market rate. So you're bringing in people that are working for you because they like the challenge, they like what the business stands for, and they like you. So that puts you as the founder and the leader in the friend zone, right? So when you get to having to push more for results and build things out, you have to pivot from friend zone to managing for accountability or through accountability. And that's hard to change those relationships. And so that's another advantage of bringing in someone else who can be a manager that can kind of insert him or herself into the role of saying, look, here are the objectives. Here's what we're all trying to accomplish. We're all bound together by this mission, but we have to be accountable for certain things, and we can't manage this thing through friendships.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.